Welcome to the Heroic Voice. I'm Dave Berge, usually behind the camera, but today I'm metaphorically wearing Dennis's cap, and I have our latest product, Liberty Girl number 6. Liberty Girl, America's bronze goddess of freedom, and I'm going to flip through this with you. Liberty Girl number 6. Only 5 years after Liberty Girl number 5, cover by Ulderico Fioretti. The main story, Dennis Maloney and Chris Marinan. There's also a brief pool party story, 8 pages, also by Dennis and Chris, and this sets up 20 pages of pinups. Cover by Ulderico Fioretti, our Italian artist. About half of our Liberty Girl covers are just her in her interesting gold costume. The other half show variety. Special guest star Chrissy Claus is a bit misleading, but it gets the trademark on the cover. Covers for the next few in the pipeline. And this wouldn't have happened without our Kickstarter supporters. They are individually named here. Main story, Dennis Maloney and Chris Marinan. Chris is one of our earliest artists, and it's good to have him back. We've done 2 interviews with Chris. One is here. The second recent one hasn't been published yet, but when it is, I'll put a mark here. Colors by Giuseppe Pica, who mostly does well. I have an issue with him I'll get to, but there are a lot of yellow values on this page, and he makes them look different. Liberty Girl is flying to Texas for reasons we'll see. And this is canonically her first meeting with Flair. That's reasonable. Elena, Liberty Girl, hasn't been active long in contemporary times. This is, after all, only issue 6, and she spends most of her time on her ranch in Arizona. So the 2 women talk and fly. I'll let you read it yourself. One simple test of a good artist: are the character bodies types actually distinguishable? These 2 are potentially similar, but Chris doesn't draw them quite the same. And the faces are definitely different. Our destination is a funeral for Fletcher. He was a member of the Vanguard of Freedom. As is traditional in comics, we have a World War II group, the Vanguard. Also typical, some of them are still alive after all these years. They're here defying the odds, defying the years, except that James Pope, Diamond Jim, is looking very old. Not so typical for comics. Several of the Vanguard are actually already dead. And we also have various of the League of Champions here. Also, President George H.W. Bush giving the first speech. He died in 2018, so you know how long this story has been sitting on the shelf. The theme of this issue, we lose the people, but their memories remain, has actually been magnified by the intervening time. Oh, the hero anthem was created by our good friend Steve Perrin, and he was still alive when this story was written. So things go. President Bush alludes to Vanguard members who are gone, the first giant, and others. The colorist uses an odd effect for this imagining and later storytelling. I don't think the effect quite works, but I'll bring it up again, and you can decide in the comments. So, President Bush tells a Fletcher story. Elena tells a Fletcher story. Here's the villain we call Dr. Demonic. Fletcher lives that time. Spoiler alert. I don't recognize all the characters here. That means the edges of these pages allude to various stories yet to be told. Flair tells a Fletcher story. Okay, let's look at Giuseppe's cross-hatching or fake zipatone effect he's using to distinguish the present from the past. To my eye, it works on Pony. Because the crosshatch pattern is tiny. It does not work on Fletcher or elsewhere because the squares are big in comparison to the size of the areas being colored. A more traditional way of doing this would be a color hold or use a different artist. If you have an opinion, put it in the comments. Roland Hunter tells a story. More characters whose stories have yet to be told. Roland reads a condolence letter from someone who was alive at the time and is no longer with us. You can read the story to see whom. And Andrea, the troublemaker, sings The Yellow Rose of Texas. I point out that Andrea and Dennis used the original lyrics, something I agree with. If we rewrite history, we lose more than we gain. And on the last page, it's clear that Elena is distressed by seeing what time has done to the surviving members of her team, the Vanguard. Liberty Girl, you recall, was forcefully popped forward in time in the first couple of issues. She cheated, although we don't really know if she will age normally. In a few years, Dennis can tell more of her backstory, and some of you know what I'm talking about. The theme of Liberty Girl being patriotism, here in her voice, she's dropping in Federalist number 14. This is James Madison's writing from 1787. Right, the Federalist Papers, writings by Alexander Hamilton, advocating for the new Constitution that was being debated and ratified by the various states, a series of essays anonymously published defending the document to the public, nonstop. A few by John Jay, and this one by James Madison. This particular paper has Madison posing the question, is the territory of these new United States too big to be managed? Madison obviously says it can be done. G-Girl 9 continues the story that is set up at the end of the issue, but we haven't gotten there yet. Cover by Mark Beecham. The three figures are too twig-like for my taste, but Mark has a lot of fans. The silhouettes are different again, and they have three different heights. Plugging the website, you don't need that. Second story, 8 pages, Elena at home, shutting off her powers and still doing some hard but believable exercises. I remember a She-Hulk story in which Jennifer was advised to exercise her normal body, and she didn't see the point of it until the end of the story. That's probably what's going on here. Elena is more conscientious. Hmm. This story is a hand-waving conceit to get almost all of our female protagonists in one place in swimsuits. Hmm. The center spread is in the center. Much too rare. Besides our female protagonists around the pages. There are some others. Honey is new and young. Jimmy Jensen is G Girl's brother. And up to you how you want to classify Billie Jane herself. They do have different body types. I mentioned that test. And then Jimmy is going to take photographs of them against the green screen, paste in a background, and we have 20 pages of pinups. Uh, Blair is used a lot in pinups. She's our most popular character. The one on the left by Sean Harrington, we've used before. Miranda the Mermaid, very seldom seen in print. Two different looks for her. She's still young when she's a mermaid. We saw in the first story that her human form has aged. Sensational G Girl. We also do a lot of pinups of her in her skimpy costume. It's an interesting geometric costume. Depending on what angle and perspective the artist chooses, uh, one can get a lot of different effects out of it. Winter Wonderlass, kind of obscure. She's a ice star foil. She appeared on the cover of Champions Adventure #7. Sylvia, evil Sylvia, the vampire. Her cute look on the right is not justified for the kind of person she is. Uh, Two different looks at the tigress. The one at the right am using in our new intro bit. This one by Dick Giordano, who's also no longer with us, reinforcing the issue theme. Chrissy Claus. You may recall that Chrissy is a fictional character in the heroic universe. Uh, this is actually Christine Icicle, who plays her on a TV show, and that's who was dressed up as Chrissy in the party story that precedes this. Two looks at the evil Black Enchantress, right? Much too evil for that cutesy look on the right. The the Fey Realm look on the left is a lot more faithful, echoing her heritage. Sparkplug, two different looks. We've used the one on the right again. Uh, you might recognize that costume on the left. That's what she's putting on in the pool party story. Chris got all of these pinups before he drew the characters, so he made a point of showing the characters putting on the various outfits that they have in the pinups. And finally, Liberty Girl. This is probably not something she does very often, but she's being a good sport here. And the last page sets up that Korea story that continues in the G Girl issue where they go off as a USO tour. And then the next issue of Liberty Girl it herself, issue #7, is going to dig more into her origin. I expect that's some of the material we've been holding back on. And a shout out to our printer, Kablam, and their site, Indie Planet. We interviewed their CEO here. There you have it, Liberty Girl number 6, available at heroicmultiverse.com, indieplanet.com, and at Drive-Thru Comics if you want the electronic version. And if you support our next Kickstarter, you can get our next project below cover price.